Well, the oil price is rising. The dollar has been falling. The U.S. dollar index right now is at 92.81 as of tonight. And the oil price is up to $50 for crude oil, $50.21. It's been rising. So it's one of the biggest legs of support for the dollar is the crude oil price. There's an inverse relationship between the dollar and the crude oil price. Now let me explain what that inverse relationship is. If you get the price of oil falls, generally the dollar index goes up. And if the price of oil goes up, the dollar index goes down. And it's abnormal, you know, for the price of oil to go up and the dollar index to go up simultaneously, or vice versa, because of the inverse relationship. So now the dollar's starting to move in the direction that oil's been going up, and so the dollar's been going down. That's the way it's supposed to go. And it's the same thing. Gold and silver's supposed to go up when the dollar goes down, too. And that's the way it's functioning. Right now, it's functioning straight according to the way it's supposed to function. Now, what could come in support of the dollar right now? A few days ago, I did an article that this could be something that I needed to watch. Is the dollar index falling? Now, there's key support for the dollar in around 92, by the way, right where it is right now. This is support lines. She's busting through support right now. If she goes any lower, if she busts through support, where will the next support be? I haven't checked where the next support level is. I know there's a support level she's busting through. She's right on the edge of busting through the support level right now. And so where it could drop from here after it breaks through support, the dollar index is on the fall. It's falling right now. I told you I got to keep a close eye on this, because if the dollar falls too far or too fast, it could cause a lot of things to trigger. Suffice to say, there's a lot tied into the dollar. I'm sure that there's an awful lot of these guys out there that didn't expect this right now, and I didn't expect it. I suspected the dollar was going to go up a little bit. This took me by surprise, but now that it's happening, I mean, I'm not going to say it's not happening. I'm going to go with the flow. And I try to spot trends and see what's happening and see if this will continue. I do know that it's going to be trouble if it drops down too much lower. The more it drops, the more trouble it's going to cause. So keeping a close eye on the U.S. dollar index at the same time. Now, I think that they've been trying to smash gold and silver, like they've been trying to do it all along. But I think right now that the crude oil price is going up and the dollar is going down, it's pretty hard to smash it. Especially if there's stuff happening in the world. The United States is, I believe, preparing to take a closer scrutiny or a closer look at North Korea. I think that if it does go to war with North Korea, it's going to be a regional conflict. It's not going to be something that we need to be too overly concerned with. I think that North Korea wouldn't offer any more than 90 days at the most. They would fall. America's a tremendous power, and the North Korean military, like they've got a lot of ships. They got like 800 ships, you know, but their ships are dilapidated. They got rust all over them, and they spend more time in port than they do on the ocean. And they only got 3 frigates. They haven't got an aircraft carrier. They've got about, I think it's 50 active aircraft, but these are old. I think they're MiGs. They're no match for the United States' aircraft. They've got quite a few nukes, but their nukes are not hydrogen nukes. They're atomic nukes, and they need to have a delivery system to deliver them. I don't think they have very many nukes that are actually small enough to go into a warhead. I think that probably you could count them on your hands, how many nukes that they got that could go into a warhead. And those warheads, half of them fail. You know, so they do represent a threat. North Korea, if they were left to build these nuclear weapons and left to build these ICBMs, possibly in a year, they could hit America with a surprise attack and cause devastating damage. You can't let them do that. You can't let them get away with that. But as it stands right now, I think that the United States could mop up North Korea in no time. You know, I don't think... I think the biggest threat from North Korea, if America attacks them, first off, America would need to make sure they get all the nukes so that one doesn't escape and get launched on an ICBM. You know, that would be a travesty. The second thing America would have to be aware of is, first thing North Korea is going to do is attack the South Koreans. And that's the second thing they have to be aware of. Probably try to attack Seoul or whatever. You know, they're going to strike back. And so you'd have to hit them with a sufficient response to limit that strike back. But it's getting to the point where strategic patience just isn't working anymore. So we got that situation going on in the world. We also got a situation where India and China have a little border dispute going on. I don't know if anything's going to come of that or not. The Chinese are upset with the Indians are upset with the Chinese. They've got this tiny little stretch of land where the Indians are frightened that the Chinese are going to cut them off. I think they call it the chicken neck or something like that. It's a tiny little strip of land, narrow little strip of land, and if the Chinese could get control over that, the Indians are frightened that they could cut them off. And so the Indians are pushing back, and between the two of them, I mean, they could create some sort of a little war situation in there. There's several thousand troops building up in the region between the Indian and the Chinese border there. So anyway, there's that situation going on that I'm having to keep my eye on. The Indian-Chinese situation where there could be a war developing. And the biggest situation right now is for war is North Korea. But strategic patience just isn't working anymore. So we got that going on. We also got a whole lot going on with the cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin, they're going to fork it tomorrow. The big day, you know. So if you're into cryptocurrencies, keep an eye on that as well. So there's a lot going on in the world right now. Canada's got a real estate bubble that's never been seen before, bigger than the Americans ever had. And if it pops, it's going to take the Canadian economy down, because the Canadians have let themselves get in debt more than any other people on earth has ever been in debt to the credit card companies and whatever. Private debt here in Canada is absolutely nuts. It's like every person, every single citizen is taking on thousands of dollars worth of debt. Just debt that's unsecured. It's just like most of it's credit card debt. Student loans and stuff like that. Most of it's, I think, all credit card debt. Bought a lot of new cars and stuff like that. And they did it against the price of their house a lot. Mortgages, extra mortgages, mortgages on top of mortgages, build swimming pools, all this kind of stuff. Renovations, everything else. And they're way in over their head, the Canadians, to the banking systems. And they're being charged exorbitant rates of interest, you know. And at the same time, they're relying upon the real estate bubble and the prices of real estate staying high, which is not going to stay high. So if this bubble bursts up here in Canada, it's going to have a cascading effect on America. And then at the same time, we got Italy over there. And we got Mario Draghi, and he is going to start to cut back and taper on the quantitative easing over in Europe. At the same time, Japan is going to start tapering back on their purchases of treasuries, and we got China's shadow banking system has got a lot of troubles. China's having to borrow an awful lot more money for their new Silk Road projects and stuff. I think it's called One Road something or another. They're building roads off into the mountains, you know, just to keep the whole thing going, you know, and hooray for their effort, you know. Go, boys, go. Borrow all that more money and keep this whole thing going. Kick the can down the road for a couple more years. That's fine with all of the rest of us. So at least China's not going to go down the toilet hole. America was supposed to do that under our new president, was supposed to borrow $1 trillion in infrastructure programs and stuff like that. Why didn't they? You know, they're not going to. They were also going to, they had this whole big thing they were going to put in with a border tax and stuff. They're not going to do any of that. And so the big bucks are not going to be coming. And this was the big bucks that pushed the stock market up. So when these investors finally figure out what's going on, figure out they're not going to get this big surplus of money that they expected, maybe the stock market's going to be in for a correction, and pretty soon, too. Of course, when the stock market comes in for a correction, everybody's going to get scared and start dumping stocks, and the correction might be a rather steep one. It might be as much as like maybe 20%, I don't know. I'm just guessing, but probably 20, 25% or something like that. And then what happens? Then you can bet your boots that they're going to go back on this interest rate hike. I mean, they're already going back on their interest rate hike in business. What about their selling these toxic assets that they've accumulated? Was it $4.5 trillion worth of toxic assets? And they plan on starting to sell them back? Well, they can just forget about all that, and they're going to have to go back to quantitative easing and go back in a big way. Then what do you think's going to happen to the dollar? And if you think the dollar's going down now, you ain't seen nothing yet compared to what's coming. I mean, we're looking at big time, and that's why I say you're going to see the dollar go back into the 90s and then 80s. And I said this back when the dollar was up over 100. I said you're going to see her go back. But I expected her to do a little bit of a rebound. And that rebound didn't come. It's surprising me, the weakness in the dollar. This is really surprising me. Just like the strength in Bitcoin is surprising me. The weakness in the dollar is surprising me. You know, this dollar's weaker than I expected, and I'm expecting hyperinflation, and the dollar's actually proven weaker than I expected. So this tells you what kind of trouble we're in. You know, the whole system is going to go into a hyperinflation within the next and this has all been planned. Take a look back at my article I did on the Economist cover of their magazine. You know. And they've been planning this hyperinflation. They're planning on taking all the world's currencies down in a ball of flames, you know, to usher in their new world order and their new world currency. So this is right on their cover of their magazine. And the Economist magazine is owned by the Rothschilds. And, you know, they've got a lot of power. And so this has all been planned. And so I might be straying off of what I wanted to get onto and what I really wanted to talk about. Really wanted to talk about this fallen dollar index in relationship to the rising price of oil and gold and silver. Gold and silver could break away on them and run away on them in price. And if that happens, everybody's going to start wanting it. See, the thing about it is why these guys have been holding off buying it and everything is they keep talking about it going down to $10, $9, $8 for silver and under $1,000 for gold. I think they're fantasizing. I don't think you'll ever see those kind of prices. And so they're waiting for it though, and they're holding off buying it because they're scared it's going to go lower. But when everybody sees that it's a winner, this is the way psychology works. People don't want to back a loser. Gold and silver has been, the people that are invested in it have suffered. They've been beat down over and over and over and over again. They've been beat down so many times they don't even pay any attention to it anymore. You know, it starts to take off, it goes up 40 cents, and these guys come in and beat it down 60 cents overnight, you know, when everybody's asleep and the market is quiet and they're not going to be bothered by anybody. They go in there and they start punching the button, and down she goes, you know. And they've been playing this game, you know, producing these paper short contracts, selling huge volumes into the market. Sometimes they sell as much as a half a year's mining production, like an hour or something, you know, something crazy like that. And they do it at the oddest times so that they're not going to get caught and that they can get away with this garbage, you know. And they're big shots. They're big shots, so the law doesn't apply to them. They're above the law. There is no law for them anymore. These guys, they can do whatever they want. They're free to do whatever they want because they're not being cleaned up. They are the swamp, and they haven't been cleaned up. Donald Trump got in office. He promised to clean up the swamp, but the swamp has not been cleaned up. In fact, he has been swimming in the swamp, and he's been taking on swamp water down into his lungs, you know. And he is just trying to keep his head above the water of the swamp so that the swamp doesn't drown him at this point. And so he's trying to do his best. He's gulping for air, and the swamp water is coming out his nose, you know. And so as far as cleaning up the swamp, good intentions, but the swamp is just too big and had too much muddy and too much garbage in it, and too many of these rotten criminals floating around the swamp that have never been prosecuted and need to be prosecuted. So gold is up to 268. Gold is trying to take off, and they want to beat it down, but it's getting mighty hard for them to beat it down, especially with the dollar falling off like it is. Support for the dollar falling off too, because the main support for the dollar is the crude oil price and the dollar index. I mean, not the dollar index, but the crude oil price and the price of gold and silver. And they're on the upswing. And so those are support gone, you know. And also the dollar is right on its support line too, and if it breaks down below that support line, where is the next support line? I haven't checked. Maybe you guys know where the next line of support is. Is it down someplace in the upper 80s or something like that, or how low is it? I don't know. So anyway, thank you for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next show. Bye.